Chapter 7. The Announcement. The morning came quickly. Light streamed through the windows of the school hall as students filed in from all around the district. Ezra, Jonah, Micah, Eve, Naomi, and Rachel found each other by the front steps, still trading jokes about the moon gas and the mountain of pastries Nana had sent home with them. Today was different. Everyone felt it. The veteran stood at the front of the classroom, his weathered hands folded behind his back. He wore his old service coat, sharp creases and a Syndicate patch freshly pressed on his sleeve. His voice, as always, was low and steady. "Today, we open with Psalm 24, he said. "The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it." They recited it together, with a reverence that was more than tradition. It was identity. After the scripture and a short lesson, he looked at them each with that quiet, knowing gaze. "There is something important you will see today. Report to the auditorium." They walked together, joined by others from nearby classrooms. Older kids and younger ones, teachers and parents, all moving toward the larger circular auditorium, nestled in the heart of the school grounds. It wasn't just for education. It was the village's shared gathering place, a sanctuary for learning and celebration alike. Rows filled quickly. Volunteers helped find space for elders and staff. Ezra looked around and realized almost the entire district must be here. A large screen at the front flickered to life. A clean white backdrop appeared with the Syndicate seal in the corner. Then came the words, "Official Announcement, Reuel Central." An older man in formal dress stepped onto the screen. He stood at a podium flanked by two banners, the Syndicate symbol on one side and a stylized rendering of Earth and Moon connected by a golden ribbon on the other. "Brothers and sisters," he began, "today we announce the completion of the most significant project in Syndicate history, the EdenLift orbital elevator." A model appeared, a towering structure of shimmering alloys and nanofiber strands stretching from the Earth's surface to a geostationary orbital station. Animated bolts of plasma and exotic particles danced along the tether. This system allows continuous transport of people and cargo to and from low orbit without the G-forces and cost of traditional launch systems. It uses stabilized exotic matter and particle conduit tracks we have spent 3 generations perfecting. It is efficient, it is clean, it is safe. Ezra's eyes widened. "That's how Nana..." Micah leaned in. "She wasn't joking. She's really going." The screen cut to live footage. Nana, dressed in a clean white coat, her hair tucked back, standing with a calm, proud smile beside the EdenLift launch platform. She was surrounded by aides, medics, and dignitaries, but she looked like she belonged there, like she had always belonged there. The camera pulled back to reveal a young couple beside her, the mother visibly pregnant, the father holding a small toddler in his arms. "Today," the announcer continued, "we send not just a pioneer, but a promise, one who remembers where we began, and one who represents where we are going." The toddler clutched a stuffed lamb and waved the camera. "The EdenLift is safe for all," the speaker said. "From the oldest to the youngest, from the builders to the dreamers." There were murmurs across the auditorium, awe, joy, even a few tears. Naomi whispered, "She's going to change the moon." Jonah nodded, trying to blink away emotion. "She already has." They looked up at the screen again. Behind Nana, the massive ribbon of the space elevator shimmered in the light. A slow shuttle platform rolled toward its base. Eve whispered, "We're not just going to the stars. We're bringing home with us." And somewhere behind the solemn reverence, Micah leaned over and muttered, "Hope they packed a filter, 'cause that gas is never leaving that dome." They all laughed. Ezra wiped his eyes, still grinning, for the glory of God. The screen faded to the Syndicate seal once more. Then a new figure appeared, the headmaster of the Reuel school, standing at the local podium. He adjusted the mic and looked out over the gathered families. "There is more," he said. "With the completion of EdenLift, we begin a new swarm, a new expansion, one that will take place not just across land, but to the moon." Gasps rippled through the room. Over the next several years, 250,000 Syndicate members will transition to lunar territory. It is the greatest swarm in our history, and today, I am honored to announce that some of you in this very room have been chosen to be part of the first wave. He looked directly at the students in the front rows. Ezra, Micah, Eve, Rachel, Naomi, and Jonah. You will go. They froze. You and a small group of others will depart in 2 weeks. No formal training is required. You need only come prepared and ready to serve. The crowd stirred. Ezra felt a weight in his chest and a thrill in his fingers. Many of your loved ones, your mentors, and relatives will follow. Your names will be confirmed in your ARC notifications. This is your call. The Lord willing, it is your beginning. A moment passed in stunned silence, and then the room erupted in applause, shouts, and hugs. A sacred celebration as 6 young lives tilted toward the stars. The rest of the assembly passed in a daze. The 6 of them were swept into a sea of congratulations, handshakes, claps on the back, and warm embraces. The room was a blur of faces and voices, but they only focused on each other. As soon as they stepped out into the light of day, their arcs buzzed. Ezra tapped his first. A hollow popped up, showing Naomi's face. "You guys got the ping too, right?" she asked. One by one, the others joined the call. Rachel from across the courtyard, Micah still laughing, Eve brushing tears from her eyes, Jonah bringing up the rear. All 6 faces hovered in their shared arc field. "We're going," Jonah said. "Together," Rachel added. "We have 2 weeks to pack," said Eve, "and I'm bringing all the lemon date cake I can fit." Micah grinned. "You think we can smuggle pastries onto a lunar shovel?" Naomi winked. "With the right container." Ezra looked up at the sky, where the moon hung low in the east. "It's amazing," he said quietly. "We're really going out there." Chapter 8. Packing in Purpose. The bags were already packed. In 6 households across the rural district, the hum of preparation was no longer loud. Noise had faded into quiet, thoughtful motion. There had been tears, embraces, and long hours spent staring at the sky. But 3 days in, a new rhythm had returned. This was a swarm. They all knew what that meant. Each of the 6 young adults was packing only what they truly needed. Not much. The Syndicate would provide what they didn't bring. This was the way it always had been. When a village reached capacity, it divided. A swarm began. And in this swarm, they were going to the moon. Ezra folded his shirts into careful squares and placed them beside a small cloth pouch filled with hand tools. He paused at the window, where the moon hung low in the morning sky. It looked the same as always, silent, distant. Soon, it would be his home. Across the district, Micah packed by cramming half-folded clothes into a duffel and tossing in a small loaf of honey bread wrapped in a towel. Somewhere behind him, his mother could be heard muttering about proper folding. He grinned and zipped the bag shut. Naomi had her things ready 2 days ago and spent the morning helping her little siblings choose which toys to lend her so she wouldn't be lonely in space. Rachel sat on her porch, brushing out her red curls while her father added extra stitching to the strap of her pack. Eve had a second bag filled with kitchen herbs and dry starter culture for her sourdough. Jonah, true to form, had repurposed one of his grandmother's pastry boxes into a secure case for keepsakes. He held it tightly, even when it was empty. No one was rushing anymore. They were in the waiting space between knowing and going. Elijah stood on the back porch with his son, watching the wind play through the citrus trees. "You all packed?" Ezra nodded. Mostly, just trying not to forget anything important. Elijah smiled. If it's not in your heart already, it's probably not worth bringing. They stood in silence before a moment before Elijah spoke again. There's something I want to tell you. Ezra turned. The elevator, Elijah said. The world thinks it's just another marvel, a wonder of engineering. But it's more than that. It's a gate, a new Eden. He turned to face Ezra fully. The Syndicate owns it, son. All 12 clans have a stake. We built it. We keep it. 1/3 of the elevator's total capacity and revenue is reserved for Syndicate use. Transport, missions, and expansion. Another third belongs to the United States, who've committed to defending the elevator and its orbital station with their Space Force. Destroyers, clippers, whatever else they've got. If any of their states ever secede, there's a clause that lets them negotiate for a fair share, provided they bring something of equal value to the table. The final third is managed by a global oversight board we supervise. 10% of that share is set aside for the poorest people from every nation. Discounted access to the stars for those who need it most. Every shipment, every passenger, every cargo hold going up gets divided 3 ways. Syndicate, American, world. And each of the 12 clans has a share of the Syndicate third. A tithe of our earnings, what we call the Levite principle, still goes to the church, just like it always has. It isn't sent to strangers or filtered through the world's systems. It goes straight to the ministers and shepherds who serve within the Syndicate. They decide what is needed, and from that tithe, a portion is set aside for the EdenLift's greatest mission, building passenger paths to the stars for the poor. So one day, anyone, regardless of means, may follow this calling to the heavens. Ezra blinked. That's more than I thought. It doesn't stop there, Elijah continued. The station in orbit, ours too. The Americans provide defense. You'll see their ships. They dock there. They watch over the elevator because it's become one of the most valuable things Earth has ever built. Ezra looked down at the dirt between his boots. So, we hold the keys to space? Elijah nodded. For now, the Lord has given us a stewardship, not a throne. Remember that. Ezra thought for a long moment. Do the others know? Not all the details. Not yet, but they will. We're bringing something far bigger than a village or a chapel. Ezra raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? This isn't just a town or a colony, Elijah said. This is the foundation of a civilization, one where the gospel goes with us into every orbit, every crater, every frontier, not to dominate, but to serve, to build better than what came before. They both grew quiet. Ezra looked out again, toward the sky. He could feel it, the enormity of what they were doing. They weren't going to just mine rock. They were going to shape the heavens, and the stars were waiting.